Welcome to More Than a Few Words Marketing Conversation. This is your host, Lorraine Ball. And let's face it, we've all been there. We've all been underestimated because we're too young, because we're too old, because we're a woman, or we don't fit whatever profile the other person is looking for. But we all know that when we're underestimated, that's a huge mistake. So the trick is, how do you present yourself in a way that builds on your skills and establishes your credibility? That's what I'm going to be talking to Trevor Storm about. And what you need to know about Trevor is he's a student entrepreneur. He's been running Media Wolf Marketing while being a finance undergrad at Butler University. Media Wolf's a digital agency focused on storytelling through video production and content creation. And I think we've got a lot to learn from Trevor. Trevor, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Lorraine. I'm happy to be here.
I'm excited to have you. So let's talk about starting a marketing company as a student. What have been some of your biggest challenges as you've tried to establish your company and your customer?
Yeah, absolutely. So, obviously, it all starts with saying yes. Now, saying yes to a partner, saying yes to a new venture, saying yes to an opportunity, and honestly, figuring out the rest later. So, a lot of my personal ideology has been built around just say yes, figure it out later. I believe it was Marlon Brando that said, "Don't ever tell a director you don't know how to ride a horse. Say yes and figure it out." So it's always been that mindset, that mentality that has carried me through these things. Obviously, as you mentioned, the student here at Butler University, focusing on building a finance and operations background so that I can use it both for this marketing agency, for any future venture, or for building a solid baseline in a foundation that has legs with which to stand on.
Absolutely. And I want to go back to something that you said because the say yes to everything and figure it out later is very much something I think most of us can relate to as we're building our businesses. And it's funny because now, after doing it so long, what I really enjoy doing is saying no, where I have a clear idea of what the business is about. And so I have the opportunity to go, yeah, that doesn't fit me, but let me find someone else who can do it. And that's where having those relationships really helps, is I know who to turn to because they're going to say yes.
Yep.
So after you say yes, or as you're having that conversation, do you establish credibility? How do you get people to look past the initial impression that you're too young to do?
Yeah, absolutely. That's usually the number one thing we get between the agency as a whole and myself when speaking to people. A lot of the time, we feel we have to fight that inherent bias with a sense of underpricing or with a sense of I must prove myself. Now, I've always carried with me the mindset. Obviously, you hear it talked about in a football team, for example, of we'll play anytime, anyone, anywhere. And, to get over that hurdle most of the time, the driving force is I can use my youth as a leverage factor of, no, I don't know everything now, but I'm willing to look stupid in the long run, knowing I'll be vindicated in the aggregate. I am willing to spend more time than anybody else would on your personal account. I'm willing to start with a little bit less direction than maybe somebody that's more established, but I'm going to build that relationship with you right here, right now on the ground floor, and we are going to grow this together. And I'm going to be proud to say, yes, you were one of my first, or yes, you helped me discover this. Obviously, that first client, like you talked about, building that book of business, looking back, that first client, it was like, oh wow, we did it. And then day two hit, and we went, oh, we don't know how to do this. So, learning on your feet and being extremely quick to obviously figuring things out, but to figuring things out the right way, and knowing upfront that mistakes will happen. But as long as you can recognize those mistakes and make sure they don't happen a second time, there's just no, doubt in the back of anybody's mind that this can get done, that this will get done, that this will happen the right way.
So that I hear that from your perspective, but I'm a plumber. I'm running a business, and my primary objective is not helping you grow your business? How do you make me comfortable? Because again, I don't have this vested interest in your business. I have a vested interest in my business. And I love the confidence. And I think that's so valuable. But how do you help a business owner sort of see the advantages that someone with a fresh perspective and not the same approach for everybody brings to the table?
Yeah. Now, life is angles and perception is reality. So when people have those types of mindsets, we can look at it as you're right. We are inexperienced. We're underrepresented. We may not know as much as the next guy. You can move on. Or we can take that opportunity to say, nobody will learn quicker. Nobody will move faster than us. You could go to the established brick and mortar down the street, and they'll just treat you like another number. To us, you are our life. To the person that says you don't have an office, okay, perfect. More flexibility, more time for me to spend at your desk, by your side. Or, the ability to just say, we are flexible for you, not we are flexible for ourselves, and you're also a part of this journey. Getting over that hump is extremely important. And like you said, it's not the prerogative of the client to help us build a business, but the inherent benefits that are carried with that mindset and with that action allow both sides to see kind of a mutually beneficial arrangement and allow both sides to say, okay, let's see you prove it.
Absolutely. And something that you touched on earlier was your willingness maybe to be a little bit more aggressive on your pricing because you don't have the overhead. You're not supporting a staff of 20 in a brick and mortar office. So I think there are competitive advantages. If you were going to look back, because you've been doing this for a little while now, and you certainly, my guess is, had a couple of bumps along the way.
Yeah.
If you could look back, is there something that you would change from the way you did it originally, or just a lesson that you learned that you think really is going to be helpful as you continue to grow this agency?
There's so many things I could say. I think I could boil it down to our guiding philosophy at the moment, because obviously the past builds the present, and the present is here to lay the foundation for the future. So, using the past, we've kind of come up with this guiding force of the final 5%. Now, this came to me as I realized time and time again. We would find systems that, okay, onboarding, we got everything but the account login, or this shoot, we got everything, but we forgot to plug in the batteries. So anybody can do the first 1%. The first 1% is the first thought that comes to everybody's mind, right? The what is the first one. The why is the next 98, but the how is the last 1%. And driving our entire motives, our entire fundamental system, and our technical ability under the guise of the final 5% allows us to not only run down that checklist, but to sign off on the bottom. A lot of people find that the checklist is super fun to write, and I know we're all guilty of making a Sunday to-do list, and you look at the list and you go, well, I made my bed, so you put make bed on the top of the list and cross it out. The easy wins are the most common to find and common to think of, but it's the final 5% of running down that checklist and knowing that it's your signature at the bottom of the line. So it must be your responsibility to make sure everything has been done the right way, and that if anything was missing, if we needed to add something to the list, then maybe you're doing 120% of the list, but as long as you get that final 5%, you can take solace in the fact that things were done right.
Absolutely. I will tell you that for our agency, we refined and refined and refined our web process. And we broke one step into five. And we really, but it took 19 years to. So I love that approach. Well, Trevor, this has been a lot of fun. We're going to
Yes.
wrap here. And I want to say thank you first and foremost for joining me and being a part of today's conversation.
Thank you as well, Lorraine.
And if people want to learn more about you and about Media Wolf Marketing, where's the best place for them to go?
So my personal brand is found on LinkedIn. I run a lot of stuff there. So just Trevor Storm, Media Wolf Marketing CFO. The agency itself would be under mediawolf.agency. MediaWolf.com takes you to Paramount, so we had to find a way around it.
Yes, that is one of the challenges of the domain name. So
Yeah.
again, if you're looking for more about the Media Wolf Agency, definitely check out Media Wolf Agency. Trevor, thanks again.
Thank you.
And if you've enjoyed this conversation, if it has inspired you to ask a question or you have an idea for an upcoming show, be sure to hop over to morethanafewwords.com/contact. Leave me a note or a voice message on SpeakPipe. This has been another episode of More Than a Few Words. Thanks for listening.